I also think what happened after the Cartesian rise of Cartesian philosophy is that, and Matt referred to this a little bit yesterday, the divided brain. So it's really interesting. I hope your brain doesn't look like this. I know mine may look like this morning, but so, the brain basically is a very plastic organ, as we know. It interacts with the environment. So if we have two basic hemispheres. Charlotte here, she's a neuropsychologist. Oh, God, Charlotte, don't look at this, okay? So we have the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain, right? The two basic hemispheres. Basically, the right side of the brain is normally the dominant brain because it's the brain that's connected to the body and the wider world, right? In a sense, it's the brain of creativity, of poetry, of freedom. And so the right brain is sort of the the telephone brain that's, involved with everything. And it takes that information and it sends it to the left side of the brain. And the left side of the brain is the statistician, the analytical computer brain. I'm going to break things down and chop them into bits of information and send it back. With Descartes, what we have is sort of the untethering of the right brain and the rise of dominance of the left brain. So you can look at our culture, just the way we have become successful in this culture. We're analytical. We're very control-oriented. It's tell me what the 9 steps I need to know, to get to the end. What's the method? That's a big question for us. What's the method here? So control, analysis, detail, or as Remy Shapiro calls, the narrow brain. The left brain is the narrow brain. The right brain is the brain of passion, art, connectivity, vision. It's the spacious brain. And I think what happened is, as that spacious brain got, in a sense, constricted, cut off, it gave rise to the narrow brain, and we've been, in a sense, running on the engine of a narrow brain through the 20th century. And therefore, I think we have developed this notion, certainly from the 17th century on, that the world is just a big machine. I know when I was growing up, who talked about creation or ecology? It would be like, what? What's that? Oikos, It was all about me and Jesus and sin and God. And so, as Friedrich Nietzsche, that wonderful dour existential philosopher, God, is this it? Really? It's all about me and this thing called the earth. And he says, my God, we have to become bigger than what we are to live within the cavity created by this death of God, this absence of God. We must become gods ourselves if we are to live in this world without God. The God syndrome. By the way, that ties in very nice with patriarchy, So we'll tie those things together eventually. Of course, this was from the essay on the madman. So, we find ourselves, therefore, entering into the Newtonian world, which is actually where we are and where we're moving out of. The Newtonian world builds on Cartesian philosophy. It's just stuff. If I look at trees and grass and the flowers out there, that's just dirt and their atoms and their molecules, but they're joined together by lawfulness and there's an orderliness. And so they operate like a big machine, like a nice clockwork. And so that's Newton's world. Like we're all little atoms and, connected to one another by laws and orderliness. So even if I look at a suburban neighborhood, one house, and if I want to be your neighbor, I'll go out of my house and ring your doorbell, but if I don't want to be your neighbor, I really don't care who you are, right? I'm not connected to you at all. So Newton's world is the atomistic world, and it's based on law and order, just like the television program. Keep the rule, and the rule will keep you. Keep the rule will keep you. Anyone who entered a religious community prior to Vatican II knew this statement, right? You know, you walk into the refectory as a lowly little novice or postulant, and you sit in the seat of the superior. You didn't have a vocation, you were looking for a job the next day. Keep the rule will keep you. You know, you hear people say, why should I get involved? You know, do you ever hear that people, why should I get involved? It's not my concern. So Newtonian world is just a detached observer. You know, I'll just stand on the side and see how it goes out there. It's a mechanistic determinism. Everything just runs according to its internal engines. Causality, nature stripped of spirit. You're telling me that there's a spirit in that leaf on the tree? Seriously, dude, what are you drinking? You know, right? So that's what people say. It just seems so incredible. The Newtonian world has actually been, it's a plus and minus. We have been very successful in this world of lawfulness and orderliness. It's how we've built the 20th century. And yet, we have really cut ourselves off from the whole. We are, in a sense, a people lost in space. We are finding ourselves now falling off of this cosmos, and we don't know where we're going. And here's, in a sense, as Teilhard de Chardin, that wonderful, insightful, prophetic person of the 20th century said, the artificial separation between humans and cosmos is at the root of our contemporary moral confusion. It's artificial because we induced the cutoff, right? We cut ourselves off from the cosmos. And therefore, we need to reconnect ourselves to this cosmos because it is our truest reality. Now, luckily, we have a news story that has been emerging since the early 20th century. And it's amazing because we're still catching up to this story. Now, I do like this saying from Thomas Aquinas, a mistake about creation is a mistake about God. Yay, Tom, you know. One thing the Dominicans did, you know, get right.